All right, good afternoon, everybody. How we doing out there? Why don't you come a little closer? Come a little closer. Come around side here. There's plenty of seats up front. All right, first and foremost, thanks to every one of you for coming out this afternoon and joining us in this important event. It seems like we just did this a few years ago. In fact, it was about 10 years ago. And we are back because we are committed together to deliver the message that Brooklyn needs Downstate. You know, 10 years ago, we were right down the road here, and we had a rally, and some of the folks you're going to hear from today, including me, were at that rally as we talked about saving Downstate. And those circumstances and those events that we had rolling out over the months and years, Rowena Blackman-Stroud led the way. And though she's not here today, we know her spirit is with us, and that's going to inspire us to be successful once again. So when I think about what we're trying to do here today, I think a little bit of that history. Also think about the fact that, you know, tomorrow there's an important anniversary that is being remembered. Because in 1911, on March 25th, in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, 146 garment workers perished, almost all of them young women. That needs to be remembered because that's part of the struggle that we are a part of. And when we say we are fighting for this hospital and the work that's done here, we are fighting for the workers who do the work here. So as I think about why we are here, I feel we are here because we are summoned. We are summoned to bear witness to the life-saving work, the labor of our union siblings in three great unions, CSEA, PEF, and UUP. We are summoned to bear witness to the life-saving work that has gone on here for decades, to the brave, compassionate labor that has saved lives and is saving lives today. We are summoned to the courage of our sisters and brothers because of the work that was done during the deepest, darkest hours of the pandemic, which tore through this community, costing the lives of the pandemic, which tore through this community, far too many. We are summoned to bear witness to this place, a place of life, of lives saved, and the bringing into this world of new life. We are summoned to sing out that this is a sacred place that must be honored and made sacred by the life struggles that go on each and every day, struggles borne by those who labor here in the work of life. And so it's good that we are summoned here this day, in this hour, to call out the leaders of our state, that the sacred work that goes on in these walls must be honored, not with words, but with deeds. Exactly. What we call for are the resources. We got this. We got this. As soon as I said money, things blew away. It's not a good sign. The resources that are needed to keep this place thriving so its healing work can go on. For too long, we have heard the words, so many of us have heard the words, extolling the heroes who toil here and the wonders that they have performed without the means to do more of that work. We need help from the state of New York. Our colleagues are crying out for it, and we are singing out for it today. Our demand is simple. Brooklyn needs Downstate. And so, let's raise our voices so they're heard all the way up in Albany. 3 words. Brooklyn needs Downstate. 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 Nice. You know, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was right. The arc of history does bend towards justice, but that arc does not bend eagerly nor willingly. It will only bend when women and men of strong hearts and loving spirits lean into it and force it towards justice. That's what we're here to do, to begin the struggle, to begin once again the fight, to bend the arc of history so that we can successfully take on the forces of racism, of inequality, of oppression, of violence that are perpetrated against this community. We join together to take on these forces, for we are the mighty force that can bend the arc of history while we make the world a more gentle and compassionate place. That's the work of the unions who work in these walls, healing and making right the lives of their community members. And now we summon the leaders of our state to join us, because in this hour, in this place, if we are not joined by all those whom we summon, then the God of history shall judge us all poorly. For in the time of deepest need, this community, this sacred place, and the sacred work that takes place within these walls will have been abandoned, and life and justice betrayed. We shall not let this happen. Not today, not tomorrow, never, because Brooklyn needs Downstate and New York needs Downstate. We shall overcome. And so, as it was 10 years ago, we are joined by faith leaders from around Brooklyn. And it is a great honor and a privilege for me to introduce to you the pastor of New Hope Christian Fellowship and community advocate, Bishop Orlando Finlater, who was there with us 10 years ago, has been with us every day through our struggles. And so, come to us, Reverend.
Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. As I was driving here, I thought there are 3 reasons I'm here. Number 1, I'm here in honor and to remember and to fight on behalf of Rowena. Because 10 years ago, she enlisted me in this fight. 10 years ago, the fight was difficult, it was long, but we prevailed. Unfortunately, we're back 10 years later. But I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because on Tuesday, a group of faith leaders went to Albany. We met with the Brooklyn delegation, we met with our elected officials, and thank God for people like Senator Zelnor Myrie, Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman, and many elected officials who gets it. Unfortunately, the state of New York doesn't get it. And we are saying, we will not allow you to do anything that will harm this institution and this community. And so we're saying to the governor, we're saying to SUNY, we're saying to the Commissioner of Health, the state of New York has a budget of $226 billion. When it was necessary for Downstate to stand up, Downstate stood up. Nurses, you did it. You did the work. They were praising you, they were celebrating you, and now they've forgotten about you. We will not allow them to do that to you, to do that to Downstate, or to do that to our community. Brooklyn needs Downstate. So if we have to go back to Albany next week, we are willing to go back. We're willing to fight. We're willing to do whatever it takes. We told the legislators on Tuesday, we're going to hold you accountable, that you should not vote for any budget that does not include making Downstate whole. The truth of the matter is Downstate has a financial challenges because of the state of New York. And so it's up to the state of New York to do the right thing and bail Downstate out. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. So we are standing with you. You're not standing alone. There are many elected officials, many clergy, and we are going to have victory because you did the right thing when it counted. The state must now do the right thing, and we will not rest until they do the right thing. God bless you.
Thank you, Bishop Finlater. Next, there have been references made to Rowena Blackman Stroud, the great former chapter president here at Downstate. Well, now I'd like to introduce to you a woman who has stepped up and taken the leadership reins here at Downstate as chapter president and has shown the energy, the commitment, the drive, the passion so necessary to do the work to ensure that this institution continues to exist and indeed to thrive. And so, it gives me great pleasure to bring to the microphone Raditha Abrahams-Nichols, chapter president at
Downstate. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we're here to bring awareness to the financial crisis at Downstate. I just heard from our COO that we had a successful joint commission. And that's a big deal with the financial crisis we are going through. For the past 15 years, the hospital is functioning in a financial crisis. We've overcome many obstacles while still providing high quality care in the community. But this is no longer sustainable. The function deficit affects care. During the pandemic, we were declared COVID-only hospital. The employees rose to the challenge. We continued to deliver high-quality care. We demonstrated to the community and the statewide leadership that we're resilient and dedicated, even during the most challenging times. But we were not rewarded. The time is now, the place is the budget, and we demand funding. The children can't wait. Pediatrics, waiting room in the emergency room, 6 to 8 hours waiting time. That is not okay. Doctors are leaving because of the facilities are deteriorating. They fear it will impact care. Our heroic efforts were celebrated during the pandemic. Now there's silence. There's no fire engines. I don't hear from the state. No one is looking me directly in the eye, and I'm wondering what is going on. The state of New York has yet to reward our dedication, our resilience. We need funding now. We're here to tell lawmakers to include $133 million in the critical mission funding. Governor Hochul, state leader, the time is now. Fund SUNY Downstate because Brooklyn needs Downstate. Thank you.
Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Excellent. Good start, folks. A lot of energy in the crowd. I'd like to bring to the microphone a true ally that we have in the New York State Legislature. Came to the State Senate in 2019, representing the Senate District 20, and that is a true advocate for Downstate and this community, Senator Zellner Myrie.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wait, I thought we were at a rally. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is Brooklyn in the house? Yeah. So, when I had COVID, and I had it pretty bad, I could have gone to any institution in the state of New York. I'm a state senator. Usually I have a little fancy pin on me. I don't have one today. I could have gone anywhere in the state. But you know where I went? I came right here to Downstate because I am from this community. I grew up in this community. So there was no other place that I wanted health care from than within my own community. And I got world-class service here at Downstate. And that is suffering from every malady imaginable because we have deprived our community of the resources. They need Downstate. The workers who provide world-class service to our community every single day, guess what? They need Downstate. So we are here today not begging, not asking, not requesting. We are demanding. Demanding that this state does right by Downstate. Finally, enough of this already. Enough of us coming together every single year. I love y'all. And I love seeing you in the community. But I do not want to attend a single press conference where we are begging the state to do the right thing. We are demanding that the state does the right thing because it's not just, is it okay to take my jacket off? I want to show the shirt off for the cameras. It's not just that Brooklyn needs Downstate. We train the most doctors in the entire state of New York. So the Bronx needs Downstate, Queens needs Downstate, Staten Island needs Downstate, Buffalo needs Downstate, Rochester needs Downstate. The entire state of New York needs Downstate. So here's what I'm going to ask all of y'all to do. The budget is due in 1 week. It's supposed to pass April 1st. So we don't have that much time. We have to give them hell in order for them to give us our money. So when the call goes out, we need all of our prayer warriors to pray. We need all of our street warriors to be on the street. We need our social media warriors to be on social media. When you go to church, when you go to the mosque, when you are worshiping, we need you to talk about the needs of Downstate, and we need you to do it over the next couple of days. I am convinced that we will win. Not because of my greatness, not because of the labor people's greatness, but because Brooklyn is great. And we refuse to lose. So I want to thank our leaders. I want to thank all of the healthcare workers. I am so proud to represent this institution. I am so proud to be in this fight with you. Let's go win. Thank you.
All right, that was great. How about a chant? Do I need? Brooklyn needs Downstate.
Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate.
Okay. Now, the next person I get to introduce is the national president of the American Federation of Teachers, who came to Brooklyn because she's been here before, not just because she's from the city, but because she was here fighting alongside of us 10 years ago. And every time, as a vice president of AFT, when I see my president, she asks me, how's Downstate? And so, a week ago, when I had to say, it's not good, Randi asked, what can I do? And the first thing I said was, join us. And that was an easy ask. And so, I ask you to greet, please, enthusiastically, a woman who has stood with us as she has stood with healthcare workers across this country in calling for a recognition of the work that we do and how it desperately needs the support of funding, but also recognition in the communities for all the work that we do together during COVID and any other time. So with that, please welcome the President of the American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten.
So, does Brooklyn need Downstate? I don't think Albany just heard you. Does Brooklyn need Downstate? Does Brooklyn need Downstate? Does Downstate need funding? Albany, are you listening? Good. I should say this. Albany, are you hearing? So, look, you know, I just said to the bishop, I said, yeah, 10 years ago, we looked exactly the same. I mean, it is really, I mean, there's a lot of things that are wrong these days in America. But one of the things that are right in America is that when COVID happened, healthcare workers were at the ready. And so this hospital became the COVID hospital. That actually made the situation right now for all of us worse. But think about what the heart of Downstate did. It became, as the senator said, the social infrastructure. This, and I taught in Brooklyn, Clara Barton High School for the health professions. I've lived in Brooklyn for years. Okay, I live in Inwood now. But I lived in Brooklyn for years. This hospital, this medical center, this teaching hospital for both nurses, it's one of the most important accelerated nurse education programs. For doctors, you just heard, it is the program that trains more doctors in New York City than any other place. I didn't know it was New York State. I knew it was New York City. But this place is the epicenter of how we train and nurture healthcare providers that are there for us when times get really, really bad. And as a result, it shouldn't take faith leaders for the state or the city to understand the moral obligation to say, when a place is there, when it is the most important moment in people's lives, the moment of life or death, the moment of birth, those moments that are the most important in people or families' lives, this place is there. Both the infrastructure and the people. It shouldn't take a moral understanding to understand that the powers that be in the state need to be there when we need to fund it. We shouldn't be begging. We shouldn't be here a decade later asking for this place to stay alive. supposed to be in Houston today. I'm here instead because it is our moral obligation, it is our legal obligation, it is our ethical obligation, it is our social and economic and education obligation to be on the streets to make sure that that covenant to Brooklyn, that covenant to people that the state needs to have gets done on the streets here right now. That's why I'm here. That's why you're all here. And yes, it is about shouting from the rooftops. It is about the social media work. Because the problem, and it's about us being on the streets and being in Albany and doing our thing. Because the problem is, power never yields unless the people make it yield. And that is what we're all doing. Now, this rests in healthcare being broken all over the country. And the union, our union, that includes UUP and PEF, we have a campaign now called Code Red across the country. And we call it Code Red because it is Code Red. You call it what it is. We have a staffing crisis throughout the country. We have issues of profits over people throughout the country. But here, the issue is a little different, which is why it is more important to solve things here, which is that if we don't get the funding for this great hospital and medical center, then what happens is that all the things we've been saying about recruiting doctors, about recruiting nurses, about keeping them, all of that gets frayed. So it makes the situation even worse in terms of health care if this hospital, if this infrastructure doesn't get funded. This is the epicenter. That's why I'm going to say it again. This is the epicenter. This is where we answer the question, do we care about the health care needs of communities like Central Brooklyn? We know, and we'll know the answer to that question dependent upon whether or not Downstate gets funded by Albany. Thank you. Woo!
Thanks so much, Randi. I've been to Houston. I like Houston. But you got to come to Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn. I mean, come on. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to... Oh, sorry, Mike. Next, I would like to turn to another great union leader who came to his position in 2011, the leader of the largest state federation of unions in the United States of America. Great union leader and a friend who has advocated for workers' needs both in the public and the private sector. Again, with the kind of passion and commitment that comes from the heart and the soul. And he has told me, whatever we need to win here in Brooklyn, he is with us. And so, let's give a warm worker labor welcome to Mario Salento, the president of New York State AFL-CIO.
Thank you, Fred. I have one very simple message today. This is really simple. To all of my labor family who are here today, you are not alone in this fight. Your 2.5 million brothers and sisters and family members throughout this state, from public sector unions and private sector unions, building trades unions, upstate, mid-state, downstate, Buffalo to Brooklyn to Long Island, everywhere in between, we are here with you, and your fight is our fight. Your fight for dignity is our fight. Your fight for respect is the labor movement's fight. Your fight for justice is the state AFL-CIO's fight. And your fight to save this hospital and your fight to continue to serve and protect and heal your patients is everybody's fight. Everybody moving forward. We are all in this together. Now, it's been said here, we shouldn't even have to be here today. We really shouldn't have to be here. Here's the reality. This is a fight for what is right and just and true. And what is right and just and true is that if we want to consider ourselves an enlightened society, then we are judged by how we treat those who need our help the most. And every single day, you treat those who need your help the most. And that's why we have to do everything we can to make sure that everyone and every elected official in this state hears what we have to say loud and clear. And they will. And you know why? Because you're the experts, right? You are here every single day. You were here long before anybody even heard of COVID or what that would be. You were here during the depths of it. You're here now and will be here forever. You're who allows this community to be and how we define ourselves as that enlightened society. And we will be here together as a family. And this is really important because the labor movement is a family. And Randy hears this all the time, and Andy and Fred and Denise. We're a family. The same way that Brooklyn is a family. Remember, we don't have to be blood related to be a family. We don't have to look alike or talk alike or sound alike to be a family. A family is a group of people who come together for a lot of different reasons, who care about one another, who help one another, who support one another, and who pick each other up when one of us falls down. And if you pick on one of us, you have to deal with all of us. And in this state, that's 2.5 million strong. And they're going to have to deal with all of us because we share that same goal to ensure that this hospital remains here in Brooklyn. So I just want to say we should remember this, that when all of us as a family, when we stand together and join together and fight together and raise our voices together, we win. And working men and women win because together we have the power to raise the standard of living and the quality of life for all New Yorkers. And that's what this fight is about. Raising the standard of living and quality of life for everyone across this state, particularly here in Brooklyn. So it shouldn't just be all of us up here saying this. We have to make sure that everybody understands it. So let me ask you, are we going to stand together? Yeah. Are we going to join together? Yeah. Are we going to fight together? Yeah. Are we going to raise our voices together as one family? Yeah. Thank you. Be safe. Be strong. We're all in this together, and we will win this fight together. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, Mario. Can we do another chant? We don't want anybody getting cold out here. All right. Brooklyn needs Downstate. 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 Excellent. Good. And we've got legislators who are joining us, very busy. They've been working all week on the budget, but we are joined right now by an assembly member from Brooklyn, and she's going to speak to us, and I have heard her speak about her passion for justice in Brooklyn and throughout New York State. And so please give a warm union welcome to Assembly Member Chandler Waterman.
Thank you. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. I am Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman, covering District 58. That used to be Nick Perry's district. I know y'all know who that is. Yes, right over there, a couple blocks away. No, I don't cover this district, but there's no hospitals in my district. What's the hospital that over 90% of our Caribbean immigrant community members come to? This Downstate. And I'll tell you a quick personal story because Senator Zellner, took my speech before I came here. We were just having that conversation. 21 years ago, I had my first child. I have 4 children. My child was born right here at Downstate Hospital. That's the most vulnerable time in someone's life. And through my journey, when we talk about mental health and what's going on, heroes, your nurses. It's across the road where we have gun violence and all domestic violence, everything happening, teaching soca fitness. Shout out to Cynthia Walker for free. Goes beyond the walls of this hospital out into the community. And then I talked about my family history. My father just died of cancer. And I was here at when we did the unveiling of the cancer program with Marty's and Downstate. My mom just got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she lives right over here. I was able to come to Downstate for counseling and advice on how we move forward as a family and know that there's an option here where we don't have to travel far to get those services. We shouldn't have to leave our community to go to another community for quality care. We demand the care here, the resources here. It's not just my story, it's everyone's story. Our neighbors. I pass a couple of people here that my kids and them go to school together. They live right next door to me. This is about our community members, not only the patients here, but also the staff. Our heroes. That we continue saying that they're zeros, but we don't have the money to put back into this institution here. This should not have to be press conference after press conference. You have a lot of work to do. But unfortunately, in our communities, we have to go through hurdles and boundaries. It didn't take much to take us to a COVID hospital. That was a quick decision. It shouldn't take a long time to make us whole. It's a personal attack when it comes to our community where we make decisions like this, egregious decisions, where we're not saying put the money where it needs to be. This is not a beg. This shouldn't be an ask. And now Senator said this is a demand. This is our people. And as we say in the Caribbean, this is not an I ting, this is a we ting. And as we said, when it comes to family, you mess with what? You mess with all. So be prepared for what's about to come. We're kicking in doors. We're not asking for permission. We need the services now. We need the resources now. We need the money. Show us the money. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Thank you very much.
Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate.
All right. Excellent. As I said earlier, we are fortunate to have community religious leaders joining us, as they have for the past 10 years, fighting to make this community stronger and to support institutions like Downstate. And so I'd like to call on Rabbi Eli Cohen, who was there with Rowena from the start, from the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council Executive Director. Rabbi Cohen, please come on up.
Thank you. And Assembly member, I actually found out we have something in common because my oldest daughter was also born right here at Downstate 41 years ago. And she lives now in Texas. What can you do? But we'll be visiting her for Passover in a couple of weeks. So this is very, very important. This is a very important community institution. And everyone's spoken about what happened 10 years ago. But in some ways, this is worse than 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, it was open or closed. What's happening now is this institution is open. It has new great leadership. It has new facilities, beautiful facilities. There's an investment here that really could, and there's a vision for where this institution is going to go in terms of serving the community. It was just mentioned about the new partnership over cancer. There are new programs opening over here. But at the same time, because of a withholding of resources, there's a potential for it to crumble out and fall apart right as it's trying to build. So it's a worse neglect than saying we're going to close it when you say we're going to leave it open, we're going to let it fall apart. And people suffer when that happens, and people will suffer when that happens, and we cannot allow this to happen. So this is an important message that has to come to Albany, that it makes no sense when you have so much potential here. It makes no sense when you've already repurposed one of the nearby hospitals, because one of the things they always said was that, well, there are so many institutions right here, but they're not. Each one fulfills its unique mission. And this mission of a teaching hospital, this mission of a community-based facility, this mission of finding new and important areas where this hospital can excel and provide something important that's not available anywhere else to this community. This story has to be told in Albany, and if it is told, the people will come around and the checks will be written. Not only the $133 million that's needed to keep it open, but the investment in the facility that's needed to bring it into the 21st century, that we should be able to, that this should be the location of first choice for every person. And somebody must have also not been paying attention, because last thing I heard, the only borough in New York that's growing in population is Brooklyn. So a growing population does not need less beds and less health institutions, it needs more. So the faith community is coming together. My partners, John Williams, Bishop Findlater, who you heard from, others, there are tremendous people over here. We believe in this community, we believe in this institution, and we know that God heals, but we need to provide the physical, the material, the care that allows God's healing to take place. So, yes indeed, Brooklyn needs Downstate.
Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate.
Thank you, Philippe. No, that was Patrick. I'm recognizing voices. And now we are joined by someone who was at that first rally that I attended back 10 years ago. Back then, he was executive VP of New York State United Teachers. And when he appeared at that first rally, he signaled the commitment of the New York State United Teachers, NYSUT, and its 600, 700,000 plus members to the fight for Downstate then. And he is committed, even in his last couple months of service as president, he still had to come to Brooklyn. He had to come to Downstate, because that is the kind of passionate commitment that Andy Pallotta has to the cause of justice and what is right, and to labor. And so, a big welcome to our friend, our brother, Andy Pallotta.
So as a Brooklynite, a proud Brooklynite, I gotta say, not only does Brooklyn need Downstate, but Brooklyn loves Downstate and can't do without it. So yeah, you know what, Fred, I never thought we'd be back doing the same thing again as we were doing so many years ago. And the message was the same. You gotta be kidding. You are not gonna fund this hospital? What are you thinking? So yes, we're back again, and the main thing when you're with labor groups is, if you want to win, you got to fight. So let's fight, 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 never give up. Fight, 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 never give up. Fight, 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 never give up. Never give up. And we got friends this time. We have more friends. The senator and the assemblywoman that are here today speaking on your behalf. We're going to be back in Albany soon, and we're going to make sure that the folks from around the state, and they have been lobbying on your behalf, they're close to 700,000 NYSUT members. They know about the crisis facing SUNY, the universities, and the university hospitals, and everybody knows about what's going on at Brooklyn SUNY Downstate. So you can rest assured we're with you, we love you, and we're staying with you. Thank you.
Brooklyn loves Downstate. Brooklyn loves Downstate. Brooklyn loves Downstate. Back about 5-6 years ago, I was at a meeting of the Brooklyn delegation, and we were talking about Downstate, planning for how we can expand the hospital and make it thrive more. And I remember back then a freshman assembly member who came into the meeting and brought with her questions, demanding answers, and not being satisfied with, well, you know, maybe we could get this. No. Well, who was then a new assembly member, has continued the fight for all of those in Brooklyn who need the help and the representation. And she is joining us here today because we know she's part of this fight. I've seen it since she came into the assembly. She's with us here, Assembly Member Latrice Walker.
Well, what once was new clearly is now old. But my fight is still the same. It is a pleasure to be an associate, of course, of if it was the law firm of Fred, Andy, Mario, and Randy. Because and I'm serious, because to be on the same stage as these individuals is meaningful. When they talk, people listen. They know how to shake things up in Albany to get things done for each and every one of us. And so the fact that they are here has me inspired, so that I know that when we are sending a message from Albany Avenue to Albany, New York, from Brooklyn Avenue to Brooklyn, New York, from Rochester Avenue to Rochester, New York, from Troy Avenue to Troy, New York, from Utica Avenue, where SUNY Upstate is located, to Utica, New York, the message is clear. We are sending a message to Albany to say, stop playing ping pong with our SUNY hospitals, which we know are vital. We talk about $133 or $138 million. And I'm sitting on the Higher Education Conference Committee. I don't know how I wound up there, because everybody knows I say we need access to quality medication, but we also need to fight against mass incarceration. But here they had me on the Higher Education Conference Committee. And when we go to the state in order to say we need money for SUNY in the budget, SUNY Downstate, they say, oh no, you gotta go to SUNY. And then we go to SUNY and they send us back this place. And the ping pong just continues, and the people in Brooklyn are losing based on the fact that they are balancing this budget on our backs. We need money for quality health care, not for corporate welfare. And so we will stand together in these final moments of our budget negotiations. It's a pleasure to work with Senator Zelnor Myrie, Assemblywoman Chandler Waterman, the 70-plus members of the New York State Conference Coalition of Black and Brown legislators across the state of New York, to say that the message is clear, that Brooklyn needs Downstate, that Brooklyn needs quality health care, and that Brooklyn needs you to put your money where your mouth is. And just like my colleagues say, we didn't just go to Albany to knock the door down. We went to take the shit off the hinges so they could never put it back on again. Yes!
years ago, when we first rallied, the Reverend Al Sharpton, the president of the National Action Network, joined us, and he wanted to be here today. Unfortunately, his schedule did not allow for him to be here, but we do have his personal representative who joins us from the Mother AME Zion Church and the representative of the National Action Network, the Reverend Malcolm Bird.
I don't have to share with any of you how incredibly dangerous it is to trust a clergy person with a microphone and an audience. But because your shivers are awfully apparent to me, I'll try to keep my remarks as brief as possible. Said no preacher on earth ever. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. And it's not just Brooklyn. The world needs Downstate. Ten years ago, the founder and president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton, stood with you. He stands even today with these great labor leaders, with the persons who make their bread and can afford to buy the bacon because of their employment here. To the persons in this community, including a 93-year-old aunt of mine who lives 2 blocks away, who rely on this hospital. The students emanating from this community, first matriculating at Brooklyn College and getting into that joint bachelor's MD program between Brooklyn College and Downstate University Medical Center. The students in this community, the young people in this community, desirous of careers in the health sciences, we are standing also with them. We at the National Action Network believe that this is also a social justice issue. For it's only in America where there will be a conversation regarding funding of a vital hospital in an incredibly vital and important community. Every life within a stone's throw of this hospital matters. My aunt deserves access to quality health care. The persons in the hospital beds right now deserve access to quality health care. The students being educated here deserve access to quality medical instruction to ensure that when they open up a family practice where I live in Harlem, there'll be the best doctors that can be produced anywhere in this state and beyond. It's not just Brooklyn that needs Downstate. The world needs Downstate. So no, the National Action Network is not going to allow the state of New York to take Downstate's car and then poke fun at you for walking. No. We're not going to ask that you give us the same car that you gave us 10 years ago. But we have earned some upgrading rights. In the height of COVID, we forsook the health of our own families to ensure that the families in Brooklyn were taken care of. We deserve an upgrade. So we're not just asking and demanding funding to stay open, but we demand funding to be improved. The type of improvement that I would appreciate would be outdoor heaters the next time we have to do this.
will not come without a fight. How many of you here have come to fight today? To demand that you be heard. To demand that this community have access to quality health care. Well, if you're here to fight, I'm here to say to you, fight on. Fight on. Fight on. Fight on. And we don't fight and we don't struggle as those who don't know how this is going to work out. But the God I serve has informed me that when you fight, you have to trust that there's somebody fighting behind you. And that's why we're here. We are fighting not just for what's behind us, but we're looking forward to what's on the way. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. The world needs Downstate. Woo!
Don't need a heater. As you know, and you look around here, got UUP, part of NICET, part of AFT, the AFL-CIO. Can we hear it for UUP? We got some UUP in the house. We are joined by CSEA. CSEA in the house. I'd like to bring to the microphone, say a few words, the CSEA Metro Regional President, Lester Crockett.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you, most importantly, for coming out supporting this important event. 10 years ago, I happened to be a part of that rally when we were marching and standing on the stairs, maybe about 200 yards down. But it was very important then, and it's very important now. It brings tears to my eyes to see the strong union presence from UUP, from CSEA, and from PEP. We have to continue to rally around each other to support what's important. We're chanting that Downstate needs, Brooklyn needs Downstate. That's a real slight statement for us to make. You know something? I think about when I was a kid and I used to go to Midwood High School and I used to take the 44 right down New York past this facility back in the early 70s. And it was important then and it's important now. But we must understand, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't continue to fight for what's right, and what's right is to make sure that Downstate get what they rightly deserve. And even though we might be asking for $134 million, the reality is that they need to give us $500 million, but we don't have to keep coming back here asking for more and more and more. We need it now, and we want it now. I'm standing here, I have the local president from the local CSA, Jonathan Brown, and his entire executive board standing here. They're here to fight for you, and we're going to continue to fight. I feel that all of the speakers before me said very important things, ladies and gentlemen. To me, though, the most important thing, we have to continue to rally around this event, around Downstate, and we have to let not only the government here in New York, and our Governor Hogan, but throughout the United States. This young man that just spoke from the church, he made a very good point. The world needs Downstate, and we have to recognize that. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for coming out and supporting this important event. But again, if we have to be here next week, next month, or 2 months down, if we got to rally again, if we have to fight, whoever we need to let know that Downstate is important and Brooklyn needs Downstate, we're going to let them know. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And as we've heard, PEF is with us as well. I would like to ask to come to the microphone Cynthia Walker from PEF, who is the co-chair of SUNY Downstate Staffing Committee. And
Brooklyn needs Downstate. I'm Cynthia Walker. I'm PEF, co-chair of the Staffing Committee. Also, I'm on the contract team. PEF contract team. Brooklyn needs Downstate. I speak for my coworkers that couldn't be here because it's limited staff. Patients come here to get well. They don't come here to wait a long time to get seen. They don't come here that we don't have enough staff to accommodate their needs. Okay, the staffing crisis here is terrible. Okay, there's a lot of nurses that we want to hire. Okay, there's a lot of nurses that we are hiring. They need to come into an environment that's accommodating for them, and an environment that the patients are getting better. It's just, we need the funding, okay? I know that Shoma, okay, Chuck, right? He got billions of dollars for New York State. And as you know, my coworkers, we all say, where is the money for Downstate? If New York State got all this money, and he made sure New York State got all this money, where is the money for Downstate? By the time it trickles down to us, there is no money. Or the money's going for this or that. We need money. We need money so that we can get provide the services as we should. It's just terrible. How Downstate is. It could be better. We can do better. But we have to fight. And I've heard from several of those before me that we've been here 10 years ago. We've been here. Let me tell you something. Every day we're fighting. As an employee, every day we're short-staffed. Every day we're fighting to make it work. Every day we're fighting for these patients. Okay, every day. So we have to fight. We're a family here. So we have to fight. We have everybody here willing to fight. All we have to do is just step forward, open our mouths, and say something. What they say? They says a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Okay, so we don't mind fighting. We shouldn't have to fight. But if we have to fight, we're all here together. All the unions are here together. No matter whether you're PEF, no matter whether you're UUP, we're all workers here. There's 4,000 employees here that come to work every day. I've been here for over 18 years. Okay? Downstate has changed my life as a person, as a worker, and as looking at the big picture. We need Downstate. We need Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. This community is changing. This community is growing. And why not wouldn't the person that's moving into this neighborhood want to come to Downstate to get the best services? Why not wouldn't a worker want to come here and be employed, knowing that Downstate is a good place to work, that the patient and staff ratio is great, that they can give excellent nursing care? Why not wouldn't a student want to come to this school, okay, knowing that they're going to get excellent education? Why not wouldn't a doctor want to say, yes, I went to Downstate, and proudly say, I'm a great doctor because of Downstate and the education that I got there? Downstate has so much to offer. It's a wealth of opportunity here, a wealth of opportunity. Brooklyn needs Downstate, and we need Albany to send that money, that funding, down to where it needs, down to the state. New York State, all these facilities in New York State should be the best facilities representing our state. Not only the private institutions, but the state. We're one of the largest, the biggest economic states in the world. Why wouldn't our state facilities reflect that? Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the funding come to Downstate? Brooklyn needs Downstate. We need each other. We're all a family. And God bless you.
Brooklyn needs Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money. Give us the money. Okay. We're in the home stretch, folks. Thanks very much. And now I'd like to turn to the SUNY University faculty president, who joins us from SUNY Purchase and happened to be here. And so he is joining us, and that's our colleague, Keith Landon. Keith.
So, thank you for having me here today. In my role as University Faculty Senate, I see all the time how critical our academic medical centers and hospitals are to SUNY and to the state of New York. And you've heard about the important role that the facilities here have in providing medical care to the community. You've heard about the role it plays in producing the next generation of healthcare workers. When I think about the priorities for SUNY as expressed by our new chancellor, when I think about what the governor has called on SUNY to do, it comes down to access and success for our students. It comes down to supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion so that our students, faculty, and staff represent the diversity of our state. It's increasing research and scholarship. It's economic development and upward mobility. When I think of those, I think of the role that Downstate plays in providing access to the next generation of healthcare providers for New York and beyond. And not only that, but how diverse that next generation is that is coming out of SUNY Downstate. I think of the groundbreaking and award-winning research that goes on here at Downstate. I think about the role that community health plays in making sure that individuals in our communities can raise themselves up. It mystifies me how often our hospitals and our academic medical centers fall through the cracks. So often when budget is being discussed about health care, the word is, oh no, those are educational facilities. So often when we're talking about higher education budget, it's those are healthcare facilities. We need to make our hospitals whole, whether it's debt service relief, whether it's access to support for our distressed hospitals. It's past time to make sure that we have made our hospitals, such as Downstate, whole again. So I'm looking forward to the fight, Fred.
Okay. One of the biggest allies that we've had over the years here at Downstate has been the Central Labor Council here in New York City, led by Vinny Alvarez. Vinny was going to be at the commemorative ceremony over at the Triangle Shirtwaist Memorial, and so he couldn't make it, but he spoke to me and he said, I've got someone who's more dynamic than I am that's going to be here to speak. And so we are joined today by New York Central Labor Council Secretary-Treasurer Janella Hines.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I am the Secretary-Treasurer of the New York City Central Labor Council, and I'm so honored to be here with all of you, because I'm also the Vice President for the United Federation of Teachers and a teacher on that Wingate campus right there. Right? So, you see what I'm doing here? I also live about a mile down that way in Crown Heights. Right? And so even though I would love to hear Vinny's words today, I want you to know that the 1.3 million members of the New York City Central Labor Council is also well represented here in Brooklyn, New York, right? And as a representative, as a resident of Brooklyn, New York, as an educator in Brooklyn, New York, as a unionist in Brooklyn, New York, I want you to know that the Central Labor Council of New York City stands with each and every one of you here at Downstate, because Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate. Brooklyn needs Downstate for the students that I teach. Brooklyn needs Downstate for the communities that we serve. Brooklyn needs Downstate to make sure that we have qualified and talented healthcare providers. And the state of New York has an obligation to treat you, PEF workers, UUP workers, CSEA workers, with the respect that you all deserve, right? And so I want you to know, New York City Central Labor Council, the United Federation of Teachers, we stand strong with you today. And until this budget is passed, we are going to be with you to fight and fight and fight to make sure that Downstate gets everything you need and then some. Thank you, everybody.
We have been joined by the Executive Vice President of CSEA, Denise Berkeley. So come on up, Denise.
Hello, everyone. We have been saying Brooklyn needs Downstate. Now, I've heard that they don't have the funding, right? But they have funding to give CEOs from Downstate $600,000. But you don't have money to fund this hospital. We will not be quiet. We will not sit down. We will, like my girl said, what's she said? We will knock down doors. We are not taking any prisoners. We want this hospital funded. What we want? Brooklyn needs Downstate. Now, please, Downstate. Now, I come from Albany, New York, but I still live in Brooklyn, East New York. And so we will never forget. And the president of this local wants to say one word to you.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. There's a powerful quote from the late Dr. Martin Luther King that goes like this: in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And we are asking today that our friends will speak up on our behalf, on behalf of this facility, that our friends will stand up with us and will fight for the funds that we need to continue to provide the essential services to this community and to continue to take care of our responsibilities, our financial responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment. We've got some staff who were here to represent other electeds. Brian Cunningham's chief of staff is here, and from the office of Jamani Williams, Elizabeth Kennedy joined us. Jamani could not be here. He wanted to be. Good friend of Downstate over the years. As you have heard, Downstate is a teaching hospital. And so it is with great pleasure that I bring to the microphone a member of the faculty at Downstate and also a member of the statewide executive board of UUP, and that is Dr. Sam Marquez.
Thank you. This is Brooklyn, that's for sure. Good afternoon. My name is Sam Marquez. I'm a professor at SUNY Downstate in the Department of Cell Biology. Most of the Director of Anatomy and UUP Vice President of Academics. I am so happy that my UUP colleagues from across SUNY and my former colleagues from CUNY have been able to join us today, because I have a special place in my heart for CUNY, because I began my career as an adjunct instructor at Lehman College in the Bronx. It was there that I saw the importance of activism when New York State tried to cut the TAP program. A governor by the name of Cuomo was there. That shows you how old I am. That cut would have prevented 20% of my students from registering the following semester. It was that critical. Through protests and rallies such as these, we prevented that budget cut. And so I am proud to stand here with you today. I want to take just a moment to tell you how important higher education is and how public medical education is the key to better communities. Public higher education is how we can make a better society. And that better society, that better world, is a place where everyone can see a doctor or healthcare professional that looks like them and understands their struggles, where students can be in a classroom with a teacher that has walked in their shoes. And that is possible by fully funding SUNY and CUNY. We all know when there are more black and brown doctors and nurses in our neighborhoods, people are more comfortable having regular preventative visits. Health outcomes improve, life expectancy increases, and we begin to halt the epidemic in communities of color. The SUNY teaching hospitals and SUNY Downstate, this SUNY Downstate, specifically produces more doctors of color than any institution in this state. SUNY's SUNY's public teaching hospitals will create healthier communities. These facts are indisputable. We are a public teaching hospital, and incredibly, we get no direct state support. This must change. That is why UUP is calling on the state to restore the $150 million subsidy for SUNY teaching hospitals that was cut in 2018. 5 years ago, it was targeted for the hospitals and they cut it. So we're not asking for more. We're asking to restore it. An additional appropriation of $130 million for the SUNY Downstate for its unfounded COVID-19 mandate. The governor asked President Riley to convert it as the only COVID-only hospital without funding. PPEs ran out, the private protective, what is that? Equipment, thank you. Masks, gowns, we ran out of money. But that was the mandate, it was unfounded. So, I know everybody's cold, so here's my ending. Even before COVID, chronic disease has been ravaging Black and brown communities. Simply due to the color of one's skin, individuals experience higher rates of diabetes, heart disease, asthma, cancer, and significantly higher rates of mortality in childbirth. That's true. Through better education, through public higher education, we can raise up one another. We can make our society healthier and stronger, but we cannot do it without fully funding SUNY and CUNY and our SUNY hospitals. So the request, or I should borrow the word that Representative Zellner used, the demand is fair and just. Those are the two key words, fair and just. We're not greedy. Just give us what we need. Thank you everyone for coming. To my students who are supposed to be studying, thank you so very much. We do it for you. Thank you. God bless everybody.
Okay, and to close our gathering today, we are joined by Minister John Williams from the New Creation Ministries. Minister Williams, come on up.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Could I change it around a little bit? SUNY and Brooklyn needs the money. Is that all right? That is the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here, to make noise regularly and to preach. But I'm going to preach, and this is what I'm going to preach about. Our mayor states to the media and to the world that in terms of separation of church and state, you heard it. Now what did that sign say? Faith, labor, and community. Well, let me tell you something. Randi was here, and Al Sharpton, they called on us when New York was in trouble the last election. Was New York in trouble? Yes. They called on us at the Hilton. We brought the faith community out. And ladies and gentlemen, Brooklyn won it for them. That's right. That's right. We lost the house. It could have been worse. But Brooklyn done it for them. And I'm telling you, the message for me today is, I represent the Northeastern Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, the Greater New York Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and the New York Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Over 700 churches from Buffalo to Brentwood. All right? They know that. This next election, Miss Holcomb and the rest of you, the church saved you the last one. Watch it. Thank you.
So how do we close after all of this wisdom and inspiration? I'm going to follow up Minister Williams. Governor Hochul, listened, past tense, is listening to present tense. Michael Bloomberg is listening to $5 million worth of what Michael Bloomberg has to say. We are here, as I said at the beginning, we've been summoned to testify to the work that goes on here. We will call out the truth. As the local president from CSEA here pointed out, it's not the words and the deeds of our enemies. It's the silence of our friends. There are people here who were walking the streets here in Brooklyn. Raditha was there. There were other members of the Downstate UUP chapter and others who came to Brooklyn, and we were walking the day before Election Day to ensure that Kathy Hochul was elected governor. Brooklyn won this for her. It is imperative that the leaders of this state understand that working people put folks in power. We expect them to serve us, who elected them. And so, when we said at the beginning that this was just the beginning of the fight, this was not a line, an expression. It's reality. This is a fight. It is a fight bigger than Downstate, but it is a fight that must be won at Downstate, and it will be won. Because we're committed and we're strong and we're going to win. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today. Let's join together and demand that our voices are heard, that Brooklyn needs Downstate.